And welcome to another Biddle on Saturday night. How's everybody doing? Well, we have somebody with a stream echo. We'll have to figure who that is. But okay. Joe, how you feeling, man? Doing better? A little better. Come on, just a little better. Well, all right. Well, nice. Is he doing like? Is he like okay? I mean. Okay.
Weeks in the hospital, so
that's scary.
Yeah.
How about now, Madhouse? They said they couldn't hear everybody; they could only hear me. That's bad.
Yeah.
Ain't it great when you check the audio settings beforehand and then it's still messed up?
Yeah, that just sucks.
Did I not check the audio settings beforehand?
Yes, you did. Yes, you
I
did.
did check the audio settings and it was fine. And then you hit start and then it's not. Okay.
It's all good.
Whoops.
It's all good. All right. We had a non-distro challenge. A distro challenge that was a non-distro challenge this week. So everybody was supposed to enjoy their distro.
Best challenge ever.
The hardest challenge ever. I don't know how he coped.
Well, that's the question. Who didn't make the challenge? Who had to install a distro?
No, not guilty. I didn't even make a video. I did make a video, but yeah, I got all
played. You killing me. Well, we knew you were going to. You were doing vanilla.
Yeah.
Gnome, right?
Ouch.
Yeah. I'm sorry for you. How did that go?
It honestly wasn't as bad as I was expecting it. You just kind of have to erase from your mind the concept of system trays and minimize. But if you can do that...
That's a bad start to start that out, man.
That's an interesting description.
And Climby took it to an extreme. He tried to use Epiphany the whole time.
Oh, my.
Aww.
And were you successful in using Epiphany the whole week?
It got better. I got the GNOME 3.30.1 update, and there were some issues with YouTube when I first tried it out. There's still a little bit of issues with YouTube. I have weird glitches where like I'll be watching a video and then out of nowhere the audio will just mute, and like I have to reload the page in order for the audio to come back. It's really weird. The thing about Epiphany is like I haven't had any problems using it. It's a little bit slower than other browsers, I've noticed. Of course, it's not supported by every website, so some video streaming services you can't even use it at all. But it's one of those things where it's somewhat usable, I would say. It's getting better.
Nice.
You know what used to happen in Epiphany?
What?
When you went to type in a password in a password field, if you use the shift button at all for uppercases or symbols and whatnot, you would be unable to actually type characters in.
Oh, man.
Progress.
Yeah, they seem to fix that, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
Barb.
Hello.
What's going on?
Well, I was going to take my dog out a few minutes ago. I finally did get her out. I have an opossum sitting on my porch.
I love possums.
Oh, they're so cute, but I've got a hound. And
Yeah.
what she noticed was the deer in the backyard. And the opossum's sitting there, like right on the railing, like 5 feet away from her, and it's still out there.
Send your cat out after it.
Yeah, nah, I got a bunch of wusses. They can't even catch a mouse.
You might keep them alive because they eat ticks.
Yeah, they
Right?
Oh, I would never hurt the possums. They're fine. It's just surprising I haven't seen one in ages around here. I smell some. He's climbing up the side of the porch. I did get pictures of it. It's fun living in the boonies of upstate New York, but not as far upstate as Dan is.
Yeah, that's up there.
Yeah, you've got more
Spider
bears
possum.
than we have.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of good stuff here.
Yeah, I know. Once in a while, you even get a moose.
We have several now, actually, in the area.
But they
Tasty.
don't. But the DEC doesn't want anyone to know about it, right?
No, they're trying to keep it on the down low. They're trying to get the population back up, I think.
That's the same thing. We have mountain lions and wolves here, and if you say anything to the DEC, they'll say, "No, we don't."
Mm-hmm.
But too many people have seen them, and they're definitely not bobcats.
Right?
So,
I got a pixel problem.
but something's off by one.
No, it is. Like somebody alerted me to it, and it is. It's true. The YouTube chat. How's that? That's much better. You're right. It was slightly cut off. The last letter was the pixel cut off on the YouTube chat, so it's fixed. We're good.
On that note, though, I have noticed if you don't have your browser fully maximized on your monitor or however you're used to using it, it'll cut it.
No, what it is we've been getting more people, so more boxes are filling up, and there's no way to put, because Zoom automatically stretches to how many ever boxes it needs.
Yeah.
So at a certain size, I think it's 9, it's perfect. But then when it goes to 12, it's not perfect, and there's nothing that I can do about that because Zoom itself doesn't fill out the screen.
Oh, I got
Nah.
So it's just, I get tired of trying to figure out how to get Zoom to be right on each chat, because right now as I have it, actually the top and the bottom of everybody is cut off at the very top and the very bottom, just because at certain levels it needs to be that way so everybody can be seen.
Are you using the window capture mode in OBS, or are you using the screen capture?
Well, you see, there's this thing. I'm using the screen capture because I can't use the window capture because it's a black screen in Zoom.
Yes, and here's the thing. Yes, I know.
It drives me insane.
It's the worst.
All right, here, Rocco. What I did, just for the heck of it, I opened my browser, and you know how if in YouTube where you can maximize the window within YouTube or have it smaller with the chat on the side naturally. If people use the YouTube chat itself and your chat's there, it'll cut it off. If they maximize that window, it'll open up and everything will be fine.
See, I'm not watching the YouTube stream, so I don't.
Yeah, I just did it just to verify what I was thinking, and that's what it was. When you hit that little box, if you scroll down where you would change the HD, the one to the right maximizes the window, and then it shows the actual chat in there that's within your Zoom. But if they try to watch the actual chat plus that, it'll cut it off.
Weird.
Yeah.
See, I'm looking at the dashboard page, and it's perfectly fine. It's just sitting in one little window.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, this is how it's acting in the browser, and even if I reduce the browser down, it'll stay. Your Zoom chat will stay and flow with it. It doesn't, like, we've got what 6, 3, 6, 9, 12 people.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about the black on the sides of the chats.
Yeah, as soon as you try to bring the actual YouTube chat up alongside of it is when it goes wonky. So
Interesting.
Well, I wanted to say about the Neon upgrade before I forget again, because I did talk about it in the pre-show. I'm having one issue with Neon. So I upgraded to the 1804 base. Well, I didn't really have to I just updated because I was already on the preview. So I didn't do a full reinstall, but now for some reason I'm getting screen tearing, and I don't know why. Although some people in the KDE forums have said that they had to reinstall the NVIDIA drivers, so that may be my issue, but not sure why that would be, that I would have to do that. But
Well,
normally
you do a different kernel, didn't it?
I don't know. Let me check.
If you're using the beta, it shouldn't.
No, 4.15. So before, if I install Neon, I'd install the NVIDIA drivers, and then I would just go in and uncheck the allow flipping, and that would take care of all screen tearing. Now, you guys don't see it. It's not screen tearing where normal screen tearing is when you guys would see it in the video if I did something. But this is just when I drag windows. I get all kinds of artifacts going on.
You changed like the compositor settings and whatnot. None of that.
I didn't change anything except hit that update button.
I would try
or upgrade.
making sure you're using like the 3.1 compositor because that does pretty well with stuff like that.
Yeah, it does seem to make a difference.
All right. So, any other stuff about people enjoying their distro this week? Wendy, did you enjoy your distro this week?
Yes, I did. I've got
Thomas?
2.
You got 2. What do you got?
So my main one is Kubuntu 1804, and then I've been running Lubuntu 1810 on a second SSD.
It figures with being on the Lubuntu team now, huh? It's almost a prerequisite that you have to run the distro that you're helping out, huh?
And part of that is looking for configuration files. You need to fix something. Okay, which file is that thing in?
All right, so now that, because if everybody doesn't know, Wendy joined the Lubuntu dev team, the artwork team.
Congratulations.
Not a dev, not.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the Lubuntu development team. That's what it's called. So,
and a wonderful guest on the Destination Linux podcast too.
I know that was one awesome interview.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was one out of the park.
Everybody send all your bug reports to Wendy.
Yes, please.
Every single one.
Yeah.
Don't start that.
So, if you're on the artwork team, that means you'll handle all the pixels that are off, right? I'm on it.
I'm changing my email address right now.
I was gonna say, we saw what happened to the guy we tried to get fixed pulse audio.
So, what's the one thing coming and starting helping out? What's the one thing you like the most about it?
The team is what I like most about it because there are several of us in there that are still learning how to help and what to do. And the existing team is very supportive of all of us newbies and helping us figure out what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be doing it. They've been awesome.
Nice. All right, Thomas, I don't have to ask what distro you were enjoying this week, do I?
It depends. What do you expect me to be running?
I don't know. I hope you're running your own.
Gen 2.
So I typically run Ubuntu 1804.
Okay.
My desktop runs Linux Mint 18.3. I haven't changed either one, although I almost installed my OS, Draugr OS, onto my desktop, but I decided I didn't want to fail the challenge this week. So I held off. I haven't done it yet. I'm still waiting to buy an SSD for that stupid desktop because it takes like 5 minutes for the stupid thing to boot.
You get no pass just because it's your own desktop to install it this week, dude. You'd still fail the challenge.
Dang
it. Dan, what did you enjoy this week?
I did enjoy my Manjaro KDE, and you know, after I got sent to my room and to play with my toys, I decided to do some cleanup work. So I went through like a whole bunch of email and cleaned a whole bunch of stuff out and got
set
up really nice where I liked it, and I was playing around with Thunderbird and did some stuff in there. So it was good. It was good. Definitely.
Well, Chip in the chat will love that because he's been trying to get me to run Manjaro KDE for the longest time.
I love it. I've been running it here for 9-10 months now, and it's been great. It really has.
Manjaro is great, and the Manjaro KDE is great, except for when it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not.
And if you don't know how to handle the updates that go rogue, it's not good. No.
Right. So I'll stick with Ubuntu's.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Chicken.
Choice, honestly.
What's that?
It's probably my second choice, honestly, to Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Ubuntu based.
So wait, okay. So Kubuntu or Neon, which would you choose if you had to run a Ubuntu?
I've actually got a Kubuntu machine at work that I use, and it's the minimal install, and that seems to be okay.
And you haven't had any problems with the minimal install?
No.
All right. Well, it seems like everything I hear, Kubuntu is doing a good job with the minimal install, because that's not always the case.
Right. It seems to have all the drivers that you need. I haven't noticed any that were missing or any back-end stuff that was missing either.
All right. Chicken, what have you been enjoying this week?
Oh, it was horrible. It was all terrible. Yeah, I enjoyed nothing this week.
What?
No, I enjoyed some things. Distro hopped a lot, but I ran into problems with everything.
You're not allowed to distro hop this week, dude. It was a challenge.
I reject.
So you were definitely trying out elementary because you were having some sound issues, you said.
Yeah, I was happy with almost everything, and then I ran into sound problems. I couldn't configure my surround sound because it's just not an option in their sound plug board. So
this is on the Juno beta, right?
Yeah, and I have not checked the current release to see if they even had that in there. It's been a while since I've used it on my desktop. It's been running on my laptop for so long. But I hopped between OpenSUSE, Fedora,
oh my gosh,
three different versions of Ubuntu.
I guess he couldn't handle the challenge.
He couldn't handle the challenge.
It was too spicy for me. More on that later.
See, Climby, he had an excuse because he said from the beginning that he took the challenge that Michael put out to use Vanilla GNOME, so he had an excuse, but you don't have any excuse, dude.
No.
Well, he suffers from multiple personality syndrome, so his base is multiple different distros.
So would you say this challenge was an epic fail?
You would say for chicken.
Yes.
Chicken, yeah.
Yeah.
For feathered people.
I tell you, it was hard for me, but I managed.
Hey, it was hard for me because there was a lot of things that I actually wanted to do this weekend.
Same here.
But it was just it was weird because sometimes I don't have nothing that I really want to do.
Yep.
But this week I had stuff that I really wanted to do and I didn't.
It's because you told people they couldn't.
I
and
know.
you couldn't fill your own challenge.
I know.
Savage.
Sucks, doesn't it?
Consider this a win. I'm fighting tyranny.
Steve, what were you enjoying this week?
Actually, I had an amazing week. I did do an install on Monday of Mate, but I think I get a pass because I blew my Windows away and put Ubuntu Mate on it.
Ooh.
And
that might be a pass.
Yeah, we got to give him a pass for that.
Congratulations.
So, and I've been a user of Ubuntu Mate for a while, but just give you a little bit of backstory. I've been using Linux since about 2004, and I took quite a break from it, probably around 2010-ish, 11, because at work I have a very specific program that only runs on Windows. And then I was talking on Telegram, this is probably going back a month ago, with Raymond Larrabee Jr., who's in the Telegram group, and was kind of discussing with him, and he said, well, why don't you run Windows in a VM for that one program that you need? And so I'm trying that actually on top of Ubuntu Mate. So now I actually have all of my work and personal computers on Linux. So this was a pretty amazing week, kind of figuring out still some of the hurdles I have to get through at work. I have my one program running on a Windows 10 VM, which will not activate. So I'm not sure if that's going to work long term or not, but that's where things are at now, and having a whole lot of fun.
And wine's not an option for this. What is it you're trying to run?
It's I'm actually a pastor, and so I can't stay
Nice.
on for real long because I do have to preach tomorrow morning.
Uh-oh. That's
But
awesome.
that's why when I jump on, I'm usually jumping off before 12:30. But
Yeah.
yeah, I actually have a Bible software program, and I've actually installed it under Wine. But it's really weird. All of my toolbars blank out if I install it under Wine. Otherwise, it works fine under Wine. But the toolbars are all gone. There's just a bar there, and the buttons are kind of there if you know where to press, but you don't see any of the icons any longer. So that's a little glitch with running it in Wine. It runs fine in a VM. It's actually not a very resource-intensive program, but it's kind of hard to do the work that I do without being able to have it because I look at the original Greek and Hebrew. So
yeah. Well, and what program is this?
I use BibleWorks.
BibleWorks, because I gotta actually check that out and see if we can maybe help you out and get that working.
If you can get it working under Wine, that would be awesome. So
yeah, I'll have to check that out and see what we can do, see what we can come up with.
But
that is awesome, Steve. You do get a pass. You do get a pass.
It's been really cool. We have big commercial, copiers, printers here at our church and school, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get those running, but I got them running. I still had to figure out how to do booklet printing. That was the one thing I was still doing under Microsoft Word.
Booklet printing. Yeah, I don't know about that.
I think I'll probably have to use Scribus, the desktop publishing software, and use a template in Scribus to do it that way. It's probably going to be my best route after the research I've done. So
nice.
Yeah, just working through little issues here and there, but loving it. And one thing that really impressed me is I've never had Ubuntu Mate on this laptop, and I have not a real big high definition screen. It's 920 by 1080, so it's 720, I guess that would be. But the text is so much crisper. It's so easy to read the screen now in Ubuntu Mate on this computer versus running Windows 10 on it. For whatever reason, the text was always kind of fuzzy, but now the text is just, I don't know what they're doing different, but the text is so beautiful. It's so easy on the eyes. I love it.
Windows 10 probably, because they put by default, if you didn't turn off any of the prettiness of it, the features, the shadowing and all that stuff, that'll actually make it look fuzzy on some screens, I've noticed. So what I usually do on a Windows machine is I'll basically take off all the fade stuff and all the animation type things, and even the shadowing around the boxes and stuff, and yet it still runs just as good, so it'll actually run probably, I'm talking about even 7 or 8 or 10. But I did notice that there's I forget what they call it now. I think they even changed it a little bit in 10, but it's just a highlight or shadow, which you don't notice behind the text, but that'll make it look blurry or fuzzy.
Gives you an extra 15 FPS in Minecraft.
Yeah. Even that one program that I'm running in the VM, the text in there looks way sharper running it in a VM on Mate than if I was running it just in my old Windows install.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that's strange. Wow.
I mean, that's because Windows will drop a lot of the effects you see when you're running a VM because the resources are different to when you're running it on bare metal. So that might be.
Yeah, so that's already a big positive right there, just being able to enjoy sharper, cleaner looking text. And I just always enjoyed Mate. Barb loves Mate too. We're both Mate lovers. I'll probably never hop off of Mate on this computer.
Good job. That's a good step.
Yeah.
You see what my name says, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Very
nice.
Yeah.
All right, Allie, what were you enjoying this week?
Well, I always enjoy my usual Trinity desktop, as I do.
Shocking.
I know, absolutely shocking. It's telling me my internet is unstable, I don't know why. Anyway, yeah, shocking. So I cleaned up a few emails, and as I was going through the emails on Friday, I had this email from Kate, and she says, but she's part of the Trinity mailing list for the main Trinity site itself, the people who put out do all the work. that I steal. Anyway, she's gonna by the time this time next week, all of me pro bono, and I'm just reading it exactly. People and business clients will be running PC Linux OS Big Daddy. Big Daddy is the moniker I use for my Trinity because it's bigger than the Mini-Me. There is two that run concurrently. A lot of the pro bono clients are uni and college students, homebound, elderly, and kids with special needs and or circumstances. They all say thanks. And it just really like cheered me up on that Friday. I was on a bit of a one. And yeah, that just made me smile immensely.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it says, I want to thank you for all your hard work. I hope this info brings you some happiness. You are appreciated, Kate. And like that just, so I've obviously replied, like, any help you need, whatever, setting up whatever, just let me know. And yeah, absolutely great.
That is awesome.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Spreading the Linux love.
Spreading the Linux love. Yeah, and a lot of these people were on Windows 7 and XP and so on. Yeah, and they've all been converted over to Linux. It's made my day. Yeah.
That's got to be the best news a distro maintainer could ever get.
Yep.
It is. It is. I mean, I get a lot of feedback through Facebook and so on, like, and people ask me questions. What's so special about yours against another one and so on? And a lot of the stuff is actually about different DEs, what makes mine different to theirs, whether it be my, say, KD plasma. And I say, well, it's the feel of it. If you're happy in Mate, use Mate. You don't need to swap. If you're happy in KD plasma, use plasma. If you're happy in Trinity, use Trinity. That's the way I see it. It's the way your workflow is. So everybody's got different workflows, different opinions, and that's cool. It's one thing I love about Linux is choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Climby. Now you can tell us about your GNOME experience.
All right. So, yeah, I was using Arch to do it. That way I was ensured I was getting the vanilla GNOME experience with the latest updates. And, yeah, I really, it's really weird just not being able to minimize. I mean, you can technically minimize Windows by right-clicking on the title bar and choosing minimize, but it does you no good because it just hides the window. So I've just kind of gotten used to stacking windows on top of one another. The activities pane or whatever that like sorts all the windows out in one screen. That you pretty much get used to doing that if you have a lot of windows open at once. But it also helps to have multiple monitors because then you don't really have to, minimize as much. But really the only issue I had was when I first installed it and I was going through the GNOME Control Center, and I was clicking through all the options, and I went down to sharing, and then when I hit sharing, it just crashed. And then every time I tried to launch the GNOME system or GNOME Control Center after that, it just wouldn't launch. So then I went to the terminal and tried to launch it, and then noticed that it said there was a segmentation fault. So I looked this up, and I found on GNOME's GitLab page, this was actually an issue that was posted recently, where if the Avahi server's not running, it will just crash when you try to go to the Share tab. So I had to go in the terminal, enable the Avahi service, and then it started working again. But that was really the only issue I had with it, and they probably fixed that since the update. Because I know there's a feature in the new GNOME that's supposed to, I don't know if it'll work with the sharing tab specifically, but I know for certain hardware, it's supposed to hide the pane if you don't have that particular type of hardware. For instance, I don't have a Thunderbolt connection on this machine, but currently if I go into devices, I still see a Thunderbolt tab there. It just says no Thunderbolt support. But I've been reading that they're going to try to have those options hid that you don't have hardware support for it so that they don't.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
We lost Climby.
He opened up the sharing tab.
Yep, he did. He's on vanilla GNOME, and we lost him. Well, in his absence, until he gets back, we are PZ list tonight. So I don't know if he overslept or what, but I'm sure he enjoyed his peppermint all week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dave, what did you enjoy this week?
I actually went back to my old standby. Last weekend, I got tired of fighting with the Ubuntu's 1804 and on. For some reason, don't like my NVIDIA card. So I went back to my standard Arco, and using Arco to do it because it's always been very solid for me. And I kind of backwards cheated because I didn't distro hop. I stayed on Arco, but I desktop hopped. I ran most of the week in Cinnamon.
Trying to skate out here, Dave.
I ran most of the week in Cinnamon, and it was nice, but it just seemed kind of pokey. And when I realized that Cinnamon's based off of Mutter, I figured I'd switch over to Kwin. Actually, first I tried on my laptop. I spent yesterday too many hours installing and trying to tweak Enlightenment 22.
Wow. Brave man.
I actually got it up and functional and running. Still not crazy about how it looks. My main rig right here is now running KDE because that was easy to throw on and get working, and everything just works on it.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still don't like the fact that you can't run the file manager in root privileges.
Yeah, that is a terrible thing.
I think that's coming in 5.14. I'm not sure.
It's a pain in the butt going. I spend half my time in the terminal anyway. It just sometimes I don't feel like typing out all those commands. I'd rather just point and click.
Right.
But for the most part, I've just been on my Arco Linux and happy where I am. One thing I wanted to say to Steve about the booklet printing. You might want to look into SoftMaker Office, because I have SoftMaker Office 2016, and it can open and save Windows documents in the Windows document form, docx, and all those. It's the best integration that I have found for dealing with Word documents in Linux.
I guess just to follow up on that, it's actually not the document format that's really the problem. It's the printing options. Word has a special booklet printing option. And if you go in LibreOffice, it also has a booklet printer, but it works differently. The way Word does it is it'll take, like if you want to print 2 pages on 11 by 8.5, then you can format your pages in Word, 5.5 by 8.5, and then it'll just automatically lay them out in proper booklet form so that when it's stapled in the middle, it all folds and all the pages are in the right spot.
Right.
You can do the same thing in LibreOffice, but in order to do it in LibreOffice, you actually have to take a full page, 8.5 by 11, and then click on booklet print. And what it'll do is it'll shrink that page down and then put it in the booklet properly. But the trouble with that is you got to get your fonts just right, because you got to be having like a 20-point font in order to have it shrunk down to like an 11-point font. So it's kind of tricky to try to get your fonts to look just right.
See, that's why I'd never run LibreOffice. I run SoftMaker Office. It's a different program that has better integration with Word documents and Word formatting.
Yeah.
I'll give that a try. I wrote it down.
It's nice. SoftMaker. I did a quick look at it once, and it's pretty nice. I still use for what my purpose is Libre, but yeah, I've seen SoftMaker. It's very nice.
I'll see if it has that printing option.
All right, Joe, what were you enjoying this week?
I'm boring as all get-go. My name kind of says it all.
That's not boring. That's beautiful. In Kaja, you don't need, you have no problem with root privileges either.
Yeah.
True.
And I have another room over there, an office that I do a lot of my sales processing in, and that's got Peppermint, and I was in there most of the week. But, I hate to say this, there's a little thing inside of me that wants to try different, like the challenges and stuff. But I've gotten to the point where I actually kind of run a little bit out of steam. I'm glad I got stuff that's working perfectly. And it's like, and I know I've got the test laptop for it, but it's just, I don't know. I kind of lost the ambition for it right now. For trying something else. So I basically am enjoying it. I'm just boring. I bet me and Barb are going to say the same thing because I'm on my
Probably.
4.1, and I was on Toss's channel a little bit last night too, and we were asked if we were going to try to upgrade the 1810, and both of us kind of simultaneously said nope. There's no reason to. Looking good, so. I am missing some gaming. I haven't been out watching Steam. I don't know if you guys have been on Ballistic Overkill. I'm kind of going through withdrawals with that, though. So.
No, I actually tried to get on. It was yesterday, the day before, and there was nobody around playing. And even on the main servers, there wasn't a whole lot. And I got into one server, and there was one glitch where it let me join a team, but it wouldn't let me actually play. It just stayed on the spawn screen. So, and that wasn't, I was in. I wasn't waiting to spawn, but.
Yeah.
It's like Rocket League late at night.
Yeah. All right, Barb, you're up.
Of course. Kind of like Joe, I'm very happy using Ubuntu Mate 18.04. No, I'm not going to 1810 because this works perfectly. And I don't have time to go futz around with everything. And I'm just not a distro hopper. I don't know what and I'm happy to not be a distro hopper because I can turn my computer on or use a different one that I have, and everything just works the way I want it to. I just hate, I don't even have the time right now to sit there and tweak stuff and play with stuff. And so I'm very happy with what I'm using. So this challenge was not a challenge for me at all.
It was a challenge for some people.
Oh, yeah.
We won't mention Chicken's name.
Who will remain nameless.
And it's all elementary to him, so.
Of course. I just, I've got everything working the way I like it. The most I ever do is at this point is change my wallpaper. Other than that, it just, it works.
It's good. That's good.
That is
One
good.
thing I recommend.
That was what it was for.
Yep.
For Ubuntu Mate users who are using AMD hardware,
switch to KD.
Anything in the totally. If you guys are using anything in the Ryzen, or I think most of it has to do with some of the Vega or the Radeon newer cards. If you do a fresh install when 1804.2 comes out, there's going to be some benefits to some hardware enablement stacks there. So.
Yeah, I've got Ryzen 1600 in here. That's a new machine that I built. Yeah. NVIDIA graphics card, but.
All right, Gideon, you're up. You've been in here for a couple weeks now, brother.
No, I haven't been, but
I'm
here now. Yeah.
Did you do your recording, your interview?
No, actually, we're going to do a blog instead.
Oh, okay, cool.
Nice.
All right, so what have you been enjoying this week?
Arch with i3 gaps, like always.
Oh, my.
Nice.
Wow, that's rough.
I feel
Living the meme.
every day.
That doesn't, I never considered, i3 and enjoyment together. That doesn't go together, does it?
Would you prefer Sway, Rocco?
But awesome is enjoyable.
It's
For
awesome.
some people.
Yeah.
Every time I try to use his laptop, I'm in pain. Every time. I cannot figure out how to do anything.
Every time I use your laptop, I'm in pain.
Yeah.
Okay, there are some times where I feel like he has Vim shortcuts everywhere.
I do.
It's just
that's how you use i3 gaps is with Vim shortcuts.
When you get used to it, it just you want it everywhere.
Mine is just my most important applications are my function keys. Done. That's it. That's all I need. And I'm happy with it. And this man using Vim shortcuts everywhere.
Hey, I guess the challenge was to enjoy whatever it is you enjoy, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
More power to him.
Enjoy it. That's what matters.
All right, Silent. How are you, brother?
I'm good, thank you.
I know it's late for you, and I'm sure that's why that whole root privileges KD fund came up, ain't it?
Yeah.
Sure.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
So, what have you been enjoying this week, Silent?
Well, as you know, I was doing some testing with a proprietary piece of software and 3 different distros.
Yep.
I was installing DaVinci Resolve 15, non-linear video editor.
And
so,
how'd it go?
Very well, primarily I've been in Antergos this week, playing with that, and also upgraded my graphics card to a 1080 Ti.
Nice.
So I'm now playing with the 410.57 drivers in Linux.
Wow.
And it's very good. Very, very good.
You didn't spring for that good old RTX?
No.
He's a team green
installing
guy.
a beta card.
I love it.
That's great.
Good way to put it.
Oh man. So what do you play, Silent? If you need a 1080 Ti, or do you just use that for the graphics, or you use it for gaming as well?
Anything and everything.
Nice.
Gaming, rendering, video editing, all of it.
All right. Cool. Very good. System, what have you been enjoying this week?
Pop OS as always.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love it.
It's the only thing I use on pretty much everything except for the things that run Arco. I mean, the machine behind me is still running Arco. I still use it for the VPN management device and all the other stuff. Actually, that's what I connect to remote clients with, like if I need to do VPN stuff. It is the Arco machine behind me. So, but the rest of the time, my work laptop, which is what I'm on right now, it's running Pop OS, and then the desktop is currently still running Pop OS, but it's not in its current form that the way it was. Yeah, it died. I had to take a NAS apart. I had to take my NAS apart to get the desktop back up and running. But a friend of mine is another fellow YouTuber person. He's sending me parts to replace it and make it work again. So then I can put my NAS back together.
Nice.
So yeah, it's running a Phenom 2 right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, T80 I think, or whatever it's called. The I don't know, whatever. It's whatever the 6-core, one of the 6-core Phenom 2s. Yeah.
If I could just add, Pop OS was the only operating system where DaVinci installed out of the box without any funky sim linking needed. So
really,
props to System 76. Whatever they're doing under the hood is awesome. Even though I hate GNOME.
I don't hate GNOME. I like GNOME, but Katie's winning right now.
There's been a lot of work, different things that they've done under the hood. I think most thing to be proud about is the fact that they have NVIDIA support for a specific image. So, you just install that image and it already has everything you need to make it work.
Yeah.
Without poking things.
So. Exactly.
Yep.
All right. Shambles. You got your mic working, brother?
Yeah, I'm good to go. Well, this webcam's about 15 years old, but it seems to be operating still. So
that's all good. Welcome.
Yeah, I've been messing with my server a bit this past couple of weeks too, but I went from an Athlon 64 to an Athlon 2, a quad core. So that old hardware keeps ticking.
Very nice. Oh, so what distro do you run on a daily basis?
I run Ubuntu Mate on my desktop, and I have actually bought the new XPS 15, and I run Ubuntu proper on that, but I've been having issues lately. It actually it woke itself up in my bag the other day and spent 3 hours cooking itself.
Uh-oh.
But it's no damage done, it seems, and it was still at 20% charge by 5 o'clock at night, so I got some bugs to fix, I guess, but I was actually expecting it to be a little bit easier to install Ubuntu. Like this is the XPS with the NVIDIA graphics, so you mess with all that. And my previous laptop was also an Intel CPU paired with NVIDIA Optimus graphics, and as long as I installed NVIDIA Prime on my old laptop, like it ran fine, but this one I get stability issues and sleep issues, so it looks like just the newer hardware isn't quite as problem free as my old hardware.
Right.
In terms of it waking itself, GNOME has an issue with GDM where any kind of notification or change that triggers that will wake it from sleeping. It's really, really bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought about getting the 13 and just not having those issues, but for the price difference, it's just It's nice to have a machine that can handle the Rocket League when you're on the road. So
yeah, I mean, you know,
Minecraft.
So, do you think? I mean, would Pop! OS work better on something like that? I mean, would it have the driver support for it?
I might give that a try. I actually, right now, I'm using a respin of Ubuntu proper. So if you just do some Googling, there's actually someone who's run into similar problems, and they put together a respin of Ubuntu proper with some of the tweaks to get a little more stable, get the power management under control. So I might stray off on my own path to test that out, but right now I'm a little too busy to be throwing everything out the window. So I want to have it at least functional for the next while, and I'll just turn it off when I need to close the lid.
What I had to do to get Ubuntu installed and get it stable was I had to install 16.04, then upgrade to 18. And after that, it was working perfectly fine. I'm stuck with a swap partition instead of a swap file, but I'm planning on doing some tinkering and replacing that partition with a file so I get that extra 16 gigs of swap back for actual storage.
Okay, maybe I'll give that a try because, yeah, my old machine was running 1604.
Yeah.
And then on this new one, I jumped to 1804. So, yeah, it's worth checking.
And 1604 is still a perfectly good operating system. It's, it's not like 12.04 at this point. So there's nothing wrong with running 1604.
Yeah. I know what Zeb would say, get peppermint and it'd be fine.
You know it.
One day, well, it's on my hop list, but I haven't tried it yet.
Uh-oh, we lost Climby again. We were just about to go back to him.
I know.
His spidey senses were tingling.
He opened the share center again.
Tell him to get off the Windows computer and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we did this week. Next week's another whole story. Uh-oh, hold on. I think Climby may be back.
I got him.
Hey!
Yeah. Start talking before we lose you again.
Yeah.
Climby, did you want to cover anything else about your GNOME vanilla experience or what?
No, I think I pretty much talked about everything. I don't know if it's something that I would use beyond this, but it's something that, like, if I had to live in it, I could. But yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
That's always a plus when your operating system, the tagline is, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, that's always a plus.
Last week?
Linux, it's supposed to be painful.
Yeah.
Linux, at least it isn't Windows 10.
Yeah, right? All right, so there's all kinds of new 1810-ish stuff out, betas, previews, whatever kind of things coming out. So we have to pick a distro for next week. Any suggestions?
Ubuntu.
I like that suggestion. I'm looking for some testers.
Actually, Simon posted about the 1810 thing coming out, so maybe we should try Ubuntu. Did we do Ubuntu?
We did that not too long ago.
Yeah, I thought we did Ubuntu before.
But what Simon also posted, if anybody has old hardware, they really need people to install and test the 32-bit version, or it's going to end up going away like all the others. I actually have an archaic HP Pavilion that I threw it on that I'm looking, but they put up the ISO, even though they really didn't have enough testers looking at it before the beta came out. So anybody that has old hardware that can look at it would be a great help to them.
Yeah, it's on the
other
verge of
thing.
being gone forever. So.
Yeah, I don't have the I don't know if you think that old, but what I can do, or what anybody can do with a preview machine, is throw it in the VM and just limit the resources you can have. Throw it in the 32-bit VM, I mean, and just limit the resources, see how it behaves.
Well, I got a ThinkPad I can throw it on.
The other thing they really need is new hardware, new NVIDIA hardware. They need some help with that too.
Well, what we could do is we could do just an 1810 challenge. So you could pick whatever flavor you wanted to try out, because I'm sure not everybody wants to do Ubuntu. But we could do an 1810 thing.
That
So I have
sounds
to
good.
go back to
That'd be
fighting with Ubuntu. Wonderful.
Yeah, Ubuntu and me don't get on either, but I'll have a go at that. Why not?
Well, why don't we do that this week? Because, I mean, there may come down the road that we pick out like a specific one. But I think that might happen when it gets closer to them releasing. Because it would be nice to have everybody try the same one. But right now, with them just testing them, and it would be good for everybody to give all of them feedback.
Yes.
No, could do that.
So, and if you haven't seen it, and I'm not even going to say his last name, Jason from Forbes magazine, because I don't want to butcher his last name. He put out an awesome article on the 1810 series and pretty much everything you need to know about him. He's been doing a lot of Linux articles, and it's awesome to see somebody in the writing area actually checking out Linux and, you know, checking it out for real rather than just bashing it or putting it out there for, you know, just for here's one article. He's actually been giving it a try and testing all kinds of stuff, whether it's gaming, NVIDIA stuff. So it definitely should check it out. Let me put the link in the chat, and that way you guys can see it.
He's becoming a convert like Ryan Dusgeek did, what, 2 years ago?
Yep. So there's the article you can check out.
They're converting one by one, slowly by slowly.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, I'm undecided. I might try the Ubuntu. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would do any of the other ones. But
No,
I
I'm
don't.
thinking
Are you going to
about
try the
Ubuntu
1810?
myself.
What?
Okay,
Am I going to
so,
try it?
The Ubuntu Mate one?
I don't know. I don't know if I'll have time.
You're killing me.
I can't help it. I have that long-term. I'm doing a long-term subbing in algebra for the year.
For the year.
For the year.
Wow.
I don't know that I'd call that a sub. I'd say that would
but
be
the
a
thing is, they
one-year
get around
teacher position.
No, my certification is chemistry, so they get around it because I don't have a certification in math, so they make it a long-term sub for the year. I did get math
You're a
certification
sub.
on the courses, sub with regular teacher pay, sub, which is better than sub pay. I even get benefits.
Cool.
I'm not going to complain. However they do it, you deal with ninth graders.
All right. What else is everybody else going to try?
Well, I'm pretty sure me, Dan, and Dreaming Wolf will all be on Ubuntu.
I'll be on Ubuntu too, just to see. I want to see actually if it runs on my other laptop. That's what I want to do.
I'll probably try one of the versions I haven't checked out in a while. So I'm not sure. It'll probably be either Kubuntu or Ubuntu Budgie. One of those two. Heck, I might even get a wild hair and do something like Ubuntu Kailan just to see what the heck it is.
That's weird.
Yeah.
You guys saw the box here.
Yeah, it is.
I think I'm gonna try Ubuntu Studio.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, why not?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Ubuntu Studio. That's what I said.
Actually, isn't this supposed to be a big release for Ubuntu Studio? The 18.
That's what I thought.
I think it is. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. I won't make fun of it. I'll just let it go.
I don't know. I spent quite a few months on 1804, if you remember right.
Yeah, you did. We did have didn't we have a challenge for Ubuntu Studio? Pretty sure we did.
I think we talked about it.
In
but
the
it
very
didn't happen.
beginning.
Yeah, I think we didn't do it.
I think we all shot it down.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had
Ready for
Ubuntu
prime
Studio running for a while, and I wasn't impressed. But I mean, look, it's Ubuntu basically with some audio programs, and it's great that it's pre-installed with those audio programs if you're using those. Like if you're into that and you need those type of programs, it's great because they're all pre-installed. But I don't need them So it's kind of like a mute point for me.
The beauty of it, though, is
do a
it's
minimal
modular.
install. When I did it, I did the full install of everything because I wanted to see how it run. I stayed on it for a number of months, but I mean, there's still a minimal install option on it too.
The issue I had with it was just the grab bag nature of it. Like, I work a ton with like Blender, and I work with things like OBS and editing audio in Audacity, and I fiddle with video and put it all together. But that was just too much.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think it's still sitting on the other drive in this computer. I haven't even fired it up.
Well, I know that Ubuntu Budgie has a ton of stuff that they've actually added to the 1810.
Mm-hmm.
So that may be something for somebody to check out because there's a lot of updated stuff in that. Just suggesting it. Just throwing it out there.
More
I'll do the Budgie one.
All right.
I'll throw it into a VM.
Well, I've been trying to answer that. I'm probably going to run Ubuntu 1810.
Yeah.
Both the 64-bit and 32-bit image, which they both exist still for that version. So
cool.
I'll test them both out. But I had screaming child and wife in the background, so I
it's all good.
While they were still having discussions. Yeah, my wife is now apologizing. But yeah, so I'm gonna check out a Ubuntu and see what it does and what updates they've made to it. So
cool.
All right. Wait, did we lose Chicken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was going to place to whatever he was going to snack on.
Uh-oh. Chicken, what happened? Did your phone blow up or?
Oh no, I switched off the Wi-Fi because it was being drained.
I don't think that was a good choice.
Yeah. Rip your data.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I go through like 70, 80 gigs a month anyway.
There you go.
How? What do you watch? Discovery Channel? 4K?
Just Animal
Planet Earth
all day long.
Yeah.
Instead of Shark Week, he's Sharkier.
Reinstall your operating system. You have to reinstall all your Steam games too.
Well, I gotta right after this whole Windows tearing thing is driving me insane. So right after this, I'm gonna be reinstalling the NVIDIA drivers so I can try to get rid of this screen tearing. Because, like I said, you talk about wobbly windows. Oh my gosh, there's like artifacts everywhere when you move a window.
Rocco,
yeah.
When you do NVIDIA settings, where do you save the settings to?
What is it?
Bitexo.com.
Hold on, I'll tell you where I save it.
Should be etcx11zorg.conf.
That's what it is. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Every time I do that, as soon as I get that file in there, the next time I go to log in, it logs into a black screen, no matter which Ubuntu flavor I'm running.
That's exactly where I save it.
And every time I save it there, I get a black screen on login, and as soon as I remove it, I can log back in. That's the big gripe I've been having with Ubuntu distros. That's why I'm back on Arch at the moment.
You may have to check that Nouveau is being blacklisted properly.
Yeah, that could be the issue, yeah.
No, because the NVIDIA drivers run fine as long as I don't save
the
config file for them. The drivers themselves work fine. I just can't put in a config file.
Are you trying to put it in, what's that directory? Because I ran into that too on 18.4 base. If you try to do any xorg config file,
I've tried it in the Etsy X11 folder. I've tried it in the Etsy X11 xorg conf D folder as 90-NVIDIA conf. I've tried it in there. It does the same thing. I've tried an xorg conf in my home directory where they recommend to try it in there. I all three places, as soon as I put the file in, it black screens on login, and as soon as I remove it, the drivers work fine. I just can't save a conf file.
That is weird because that's exactly where I save it, and I save it every single time, no matter what distro I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I try to save, I've got a monitor that isn't recognized properly by Ubuntu. And so if I try to save I went to Arch Wiki and they suggested writing up a config file that has all the proper settings in there for the monitor, and then saving in that xorg.d folder. As soon as I did that, I got black screen also. I had to go to a terminal and delete that file, and then I could log back in again.
Yep.
So there's something with the new Ubuntu base that it does not like, at least in that one folder, it does not like config files. Maybe it applies more broadly than that.
I think some of it has to do as well with Ubuntu and Arch, the way they kind of put their specific configs for global things are a bit different. So the one that Arch uses is kind of like the generic way of doing it, whereas Ubuntu might have a more specialized position for everything. It might be more broken down into different places.
What I had to do is I had to create a bash script that basically ran a bunch of xrand commands every time the desktop starts up.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only way that I could fix my monitor issues, because I couldn't do a config file.
Yeah, that is weird because I don't have that issue.
It's just I figure it's just my hardware setup. It's weird.
Well, I've come to the conclusion that there is issues like that out there that for specific hardware, you just got some. Yeah, you just got some specific issues that nobody else has and nobody else has heard of, and it's so weird. But you gotta get used to it, I guess, because there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
Version of Xorg.
I don't know. Whatever comes with.
Because I'm on a different system anyway. I'm not on Ubuntu based, but I'm running 1.19.6 of Xorg, and that does have an xorg.com filing.
I don't know what I'm on right now, but my rig that I'm working in right now has an Xorg conf saved in the Etsy X11 folder.
Yeah,
and
exactly
it's just
where mine
fine.
is.
You know, set with full the full, what is it? Full pipe composition and triple buffering and the whole 9 yards.
I found in just about every Ubuntu system I've used, there is a config file, most of the config files you'd expect, in all of the directories, except most of them are just blank. So the files are there, they're just blank.
Yeah, they've just been touched.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably a default one somewhere that you could copy over.
Have you tried editing the conf file and taking out everything except for the section string that has the full composition pipeline thing?
Yes, because I saw there was a suggestion on one site that it was the non-display sections of the conf file that caused it to crash. So I went in through the terminal and took out everything except the display and the.
Still have the issue?
Yep.
Have you tried just using...
It's just my hardware combination. I'm convinced of it at this point. I have a ghost in the machine.
I just was using simple Intel hardware and it was bombing with that config file for a monitor, so that shouldn't have caused any problems.
You could try initiating it just using NVIDIA xconfig, so it writes the file first before you use NVIDIA settings to do anything. And then
tried that too.
Okay.
It's the existence of the file. One thing I haven't looked into, I wonder if I still have the motherboard graphics enabled in the BIOS. And
Also,
I wonder if it is, if I take that out.
Some motherboards require that if you've got a discrete card, you need to disable onboard graphics.
Yeah, it could be sending a signal out to the onboard one.
Why? I'm just confused as why it would do it in Ubuntu but not in Arch, if that was the case. But I will, next time I reboot, I will go into the BIOS and dig around, see what I can find.
Well, if you're running an Arch base, it's probably more up to date. So Ubuntu base is probably running an older version.
Well, kernel might make a difference too, because the driver support.
Peppermint 8, which I actually ran with the latest mainline kernel and the latest NVIDIA drivers, but it's based on 1604. It didn't have that issue. It's only the 1804s and the 1810s.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I
You
don't
got
know
a
what to tell you.
Ghost in the machine.
That's all.
That's what it's gotta be.
I'll just have to tell my wife I need a new computer.
See, there you go. And you can blame it on me.
Take the dusky route.
Yep.
You gotta tell her
Might
you
just
need
be-
one of those 32-core Threadrippers
I remember
for
having
testing purposes.
I had the same issue when I was doing Draugr OS that I told Thomas about with the Xorg file. And I haven't ran, well, I did run Kubuntu 1804. I can't remember if I had an xorg.conf then, but when I do, I'll probably do Ubuntu Bungie 1810 this time, and I'll let you know if I have the same issue.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's next on the agenda? Open forum. Who's got something they want to say?
I do.
Before we move on. What do you got to say?
I told Tyler that I would have something spicy for this.
Oh my gosh.
So I've got Reaper Jerky, which you guys all know and love.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've got Ghost Pepper Hot Sauce.
Oh my
and they're gonna go together and be friends.
Rip your
Just gonna do a little bit. Just a good healthy drop, you know. Just it's probably hard to see. Try not to spill it everything.
No chicken wings?
Okay, taking bets on how long it's going to take to get through his system.
Dave.
I got the 9 and the 1. So we're good.
Dave, you want to check the YouTube chat because Mark Greaves from Peppermint just posted something, an issue Zeb was having.
We have the wrong camera angle this week. You need to
We
be
do.
in your booth so you're nice and close and we can see your eyes.
I know you're crying right now, but hold the camera up closer to your face.
There's nothing to see. He's got him closed.
I think he's in pain.
He's crying.
He's in pain. He's in pain.
This is what you get.
Oh dear.
This is what you
This is regret.
Yes.
His mic is not muted, but he's silent, so that says it all.
Yep.
This is what you get when you forget.
So,
compile
so
something.
how you like an elementary, chicken?
That is the face of instant
He
regret.
can't speak at the moment.
See, I know that face. That's the face when I've completely built something and Gentoo doesn't build like correctly or doesn't build after 16 hours.
It hits you in waves.
I have to say, Shaken, you have a very odd bucket list.
Oh, they're
Right?
taking turns.
You know, there's a couple of more waves later too. Okay.
It's recycling.
So did you at least, bring a glass of milk in for after?
No, I got a candle I can smell though.
What?
It's not gonna help you.
How's that gonna help?
Go eat
I
some
don't
yogurt.
All right. So anyway, Mark was talking about Zeb having that issue, Dave, and he said that when he got to the black screen, he could do the Control F3 to a console and then Control F7, and the desktop would start.
Yeah, I usually use Control Alt F4. It jots me right to the console. Being a DOS baby, I'm very comfortable there. That's always where I go to get rid of the Xorg conf file. I know I tried that at least once and still got black screen when I tried to come back. But I will try it with the 1810s to see if that makes a difference.
Somebody did write in the room about using no mode set on the club stanza. Adding that to the stanza for people within.
I've seen that, and I understand why that would work if you're not able to log in at all. But I can log in fine as long as I don't have an Xorg conf file and just use the desktop's settings to set things up how I want. The drivers themselves work fine, which is what the no mode set it fixes.
Yeah,
It's just a matter of getting the advanced properties for the card. You need to use the NVIDIA settings and save that file so that it can get the proper settings for the card, because you can't get all the advanced options through the generic desktop settings.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm the other thing is it'll be a 4.18 kernel versus the 4.15 kernel that's coming in 1804. So that might make a difference. I'd be curious to see if that changes anything at all.
I will definitely throw in an 1810 and see, because on 1604 through Peppermint 8, I was running the 4.18 kernel when it first dropped the 18.1, because I was using the Ubuntu kernel update utility.
Yeah.
So on a 1604 base with, no matter which kernel I used, it was fine. It wasn't until I tried to make the switch over to the 1804 base that I started having the problem. And that's actually, when EB started having the problems too, which is why he waited so long to skip over to Peppermint 9.
Yep.
Is that Listerine chicken?
That's not going to help.
He needs to eat rice or eat bread, something to
milk.
absorb.
That will cut the heat. So
get some toast.
Milk or just straight butter.
What is it? Capsaicin? What is this stuff that causes the heat? Capsaicin?
Yeah.
Yes, and it's a pain response. It's really weird because it doesn't raise your body temperature or anything. It's actually a pain response.
Then drinking the alcohol of Listerine on top of it is not going
Chicken,
to help.
drink some milk. Milk will help.
You still can't speak.
Milk will help, yeah. Milk will definitely help.
Milk buffers, bread will absorb and help get it in through your system.
Fellas,
sorry.
It says here heat level maximum. So I don't.
And he added hot sauce to it.
Because I don't know.
Because you're a masochist?
We'll go with that one.
Yeah, we'll go with that one. I'll just
I'm going to drop off. Thanks for having me on.
Hi, everybody.
All right,
Thanks
Steve.
for all the advice, too.
Yeah, thanks.
Hit him between the eyes tomorrow, Steve.
There you go.
Don't do what I do.
Hi, Rocco.
Ben, what's going on, man?
How are you guys doing?
Hey, Ben.
We're good. We're good.
Awesome.
Yeah, a few new faces I see.
Plenty of new faces.
Oh, cool. Well, tonight I am on KDE4 on Arch Linux. Funnily, they still have it in the AUR repositories. I ain't kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually got it working, man. It's it's actually working pretty dang well.
All right, so Ben, we have a distro challenge this week of one of the 1810s. So.
Oh, really?
So you got to pick an 1810 to.
I'm going with XFCE Ubuntu.
There you go.
Oh, go with Ubuntu Kylan.
Kylan. Has anyone picked that yet?
No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody wants to.
That's the Chinese distro. I don't know a dang thing about Chinese, man, so no.
I picked Ubuntu as well, so it's a good choice.
That's a surprise.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't pick Vanilla Gnome, sister.
Yeah.
Well,
you're surprised I didn't pick Vanilla Gnome?
Yeah, I mean that's the Climby knows that's the best one going right now.
Yeah, no. The answer is no. See, I run GNOME on Pop! OS because that's what's integrated specifically for that set.
So
If I'm going to run Ubuntu, it will always be Xubuntu or a
Ubuntu.
It will always have XFCE on it if I'm not running Pop OS.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the I compromise with Pop OS. We'll say that.
Well, speaking of Pop OS, I do actually have a System 76 Lemur here, and I'm thinking of chucking Ubuntu on that. And then, since not many have picked it yet, from what I know, I'm actually thinking of putting Ubuntu 10 GNOME on my MacBook.
Whoa.
There you go.
Yeah, because right now it doesn't have a single OS on it. So I'm thinking of putting Ubuntu GNOME on that. So yeah, stock.
I think we lost Chicken for the night.
I think
We might have.
Ever since he did the whole hot sauce thing, it's been find chicken. He's back and forth.
Yeah, right.
Not doing well.
There he is.
No.
Are you okay now, Chicken?
He should be.
Hold on.
Why did the chicken puke in the toilet?
Right.
Uh-oh.
Like, why
Banana
did the
time.
toast get messed up?
Eating a banana.
Banana's not a bad choice. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's potassium. It'll counterbalance the acidic.
Uh-huh.
It tastes horrible after the Listerine.
I'm sure it does. The Listerine was a bad choice, dude.
Banana.
Little
I thought I'd
chocolate.
wash it out.
Put Vegemite
It
on
doesn't work.
Vegemite.
Yeah,
actually-
Vegemite, no.
And if you have a little bit of peanut butter, you might try that too.
Yeah.
Good intentions, bad choices.
And mayo and sour cream also work.
Okay, that just sounds nasty now.
Together.
No, I didn't say together. I'm just saying as alternatives. Alternatives, never combined. Alternatives.
Isn't that what this show's about?
That's funny.
You could probably get the
pickles
banana
ice
and
cream, I
peanut
wonder
butter
about
together.
you.
Well,
We're gonna
I'm
need
looking.
a lot more bananas.
I'm looking now about that BibleWorks program, and there's a couple articles on how to get it installed and working. So I'm wondering if we can help Steve out there and get that up and running for him.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah,
That'd
we'd
be
love.
I'm already starting the distro challenge over here. I'm murdering my laptop while by doing this.
Oh my gosh, no!
I have decided to go with Kubuntu 1810.
Nice.
That's such a safe choice, dude.
This is my first time using KDE in I think 2 years.
Start with Kubuntu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna see how this goes.
Somebody,
You know what? Just because we're
6
talking
months
about
later,
it,
he'll come back up out of the settings program.
Yeah. Hell with it. Screw it. I'm downloading Ubuntu right now. I can't wait no more.
now I thought Juno was based on 1804, right?
And it's beautiful.
Yeah. So no, Brandon, Elementary does not
Yeah.
count as a distro challenge this week.
But you know
Sorry.
what does? Nitrix.
Is it
It's
based
that-
on 1810?
It is. It's that funny KDE one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Bye, Barb.
Goodbye. I'm falling asleep here. So.
Bye-bye, Bob.
Night, Bob.
See you, Barb.
I'm a morning
Bye.
person. Sorry about that, guys. Good night.
Right.
Good
I ran
night.
out of whipped cream.
Rocco.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you do
Ricky,
whippets.
Yu-Gi-Oh Master, he's been waiting to get in the Zoom chat for a while. He's been waiting almost freaking 30 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That's not good. He just missed my
Okay, Rick.
out saying, I've been waiting almost 30 minutes here.
Yeah. List is long.
Okay.
All right.
And he comes in and he walks away.
Kind of weird.
Ricky.
I was going to ask the individual that was having the issue, do you actually have a .nvidia-settings-rc in your base folder, your home folder?
Whoa, something's going on.
Let me.
That would be a young child screaming and looking for their mom.
That's weird.
That file normally gets created if you don't have root permissions initially running in NVIDIA settings. It saves it into your home folder.
Yeah.
No. But then again, I'm in Arch where it works fine anyway. But I know that I did try and set up a .NVIDIA folder one of the times when I was in fighting with Ubuntu, because I came across in searching high and low on the web, probably in the Arch Wiki, it said to try it in your personal folder. If you can't get the global settings to go, try individual settings. And I tried saving it in there and got the same reaction.
So you got the black screen even with it in your home folder?
Yes. It's for some reason the ghost in my machine does not like an XOR conf.
Oh well, it's not. So this is a so under the profiles, it would be specific to the it's actually a config file loaded by the profiles, not by Xorg itself. Because in 1804 they changed NVIDIA. Okay, so the way that they initialize NVIDIA drivers now, because of the way they've changed them because they also changed the way Prime Select works now, it affects desktop cards as well. And they use a RC file on Ubuntu distributions, but Arch, you're going to use the original settings, the way you would do things the old school way, because Arch didn't play around or change the way they do stuff. But Ubuntu has changed the way they do it. And so you use an RC file now that's usually inside your home folder. It'll usually be .nvidia-settings-rc, and all of your configurations, like your attributes, your config properties, anything, even your XRAN stuff, it's all inside that file, and it's loaded through a profile.
So if I run NVIDIA settings, I need to save it to that file in my home folder to get it to recognize.
Yeah, but that's only under Ubuntu. Or anything that's anything 1804 based off of 1804. So Pop! OS will do it. It's Ubuntu, any distribution set that does it that way. That's where that file is supposed to be located, is in your home folder.
Hey guys, it's going to be .nvidia something or other.
Hey Ricky.
Yeah, it will. It won't be. It'll be .nvidia-settings-rc.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one in my home folder. Not sure. So what is that exactly for, as far as the one in your Etsy folder, that overrides this, does it not?
That gets generated if you run NVIDIA settings without root privilege. It saves it to your home folder.
Right, but so the way that they did, the reason they did it that way is because if you're using either X11 or Wayland, Wayland defaults to use this directly out of your home folder instead of using the X11 stuff. So Wayland doesn't care. Wayland doesn't pay attention to any of the X11 stuff. It's doing its thing. So by having this, number one, having it not under a root, so having it user specific, and that's why when it generates it, you don't have to run it as root. It's just the user, and it's set to the user, because then you can go in and configure it, or you can auto generate it. So when the drivers are loaded, especially if you have in Prime, where you're switching back and forth between an Intel based or a NVIDIA based chip, it will just ignore this file when it's in the Intel mode, or it'll execute this file when it's in NVIDIA mode. Well, under the desktops, because you have a lot of, if you're running an Intel desktop and you have an i5 that has an integrated chip, may have graphics integrated into it, or an i7 that has graphics integrated, it's the same kind of way, to where you can go in low power mode, it'll use Intel, and they're looking into doing that kind of configuration nowadays. So that's
that would actually make sense, because the system, I can see the system trying to load the global settings out of the X11 folder and getting them set and then crashing when they meet headlong with the different configuration file in my home folder. Because if the two configurations are trying to do two different things with the same monitor.
Right, but so you can get to the login, and then when you get to the login, it crashes?
Yep.
Like when you try to log into your
just
session?
goes black screen. I usually still get my cursor. It's just
Right,
everything
but
else
when
is
you
black.
get to, okay, so is it when you get to the login screen, like GDM?
No, I can log in. I get to the login screen. I put in my password. That's fine. But
So
then
it is your,
the screen
yeah,
goes
so
black.
what it's doing is
Yeah.
when it's loading your session, it's reading that file, and when it reads that file is conflicting with what it already originally had set. So when it tries to switch to your active session and it loads that file, it blank screens, basically gives you a black screen because it doesn't have the information that it's looking for already preset or predefined.
Now, is that going to be in the base home folder or the config subfolder?
So yeah, this
base
file
home
sits in your home folder. It's a hidden
Okay.
file in your home folder.
I always unhide my files.
Dave, did that happen when you were doing a driver update by chance?
No, when I switched to 1804.
Okay, because I had at my Ubuntu Studio, that's one of the reasons why I kind of gave up on it, was I did a driver update and I started getting the black screen, and that's when Zeb would say, "Oh, it's just hit Alt F7 or whatever it was," and it would boom, it'd bring it right up.
Yeah, if you
But I
control
could never get the problem fixed.
if you control Alt F2 and then control Alt F7 quickly,
Yeah.
it brings the desktop back normally.
Yeah.
If you're logging into the session, the screen is probably there.
Right.
But sometimes you have to switch out of that session into a TTY and then back again into the main session, and it will bring the display back.
Yeah, but mine got corrupted when I did a driver update. That's when it seemed, and I could never figure out what went wrong with it. So.
Yeah, because I've seen that NVIDIA settings in the home folder for the longest time. Never actually realized what it did. Like if the one in the Etsy folder would take over, or man, I've never had that issue where it conflicted though.
If you
I
look
would
in
say
the one,
typically most things in your home folder are going to take precedence because they're for your profile.
yeah, and if you look at the one in the home folder, it lists every input on your display on the card.
And System also made the point about it might be that Ubuntu, starting with the 1804s, views my monitors differently than NVIDIA itself does at this point, or like Ubuntu used to. Maybe they updated to better detection.
Well, it's not specifically that. It has to do with the fact that they changed in using Wayland as a default set and having to go in, and so you can choose to run Wayland or you can choose to use it's the same thing when Fedora started doing the exact same thing. It's the same issue. Ubuntu is now doing it. So if you're running Fedora, you can still run into the same issue. But the way in the case of Red Hat and Fedora, they had a different workaround that they did. But because Ubuntu is based off of Debian, and Debian is still using a completely separate way or an older way of doing it, they had to do a different workaround, which this was their workaround, which is to basically subjugate the way that it is structured so that when your profile or your direct session related to that user uses its own configuration. So what you could do in essence is if you had multiple users on a system, you could actually specifically say, well, when this user logs on, they can only use the Intel chip. And when this user logs on, they can only use NVIDIA, or they can use NVIDIA and it's set up this specific way. Or when this user logs on, they only have access to 2 displays or 1 display. You can do those configurations. Those things can be adjusted independent of the global changes that are done. And anything that you're doing in the global changes should not be related to the session itself.
Okay, the NVIDIA settings RC file that Ubuntu sets up, will the NVIDIA settings program corrupt that if I merge them.
Right. So the way that by making those changes, they're actually depending on the actual drivers to generate that file now in that new location instead of executing it where it was originally located.
Okay, so I just have to make sure that when I save the settings, I save them to that new location.
You have to define them in that location, or you need to make the changes in the profile itself instead of making the changes in your X11 folder.
Okay, I will try that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
This is what we do here. We solve problems.
I've been trying Ubuntu Lubuntu 18.10 on my laptop. The LXQT environment is amazing. I actually like it.
Excellent. Good news.
Yeah. All right. So here's the deal. I'm going to write this down because I need to, we need to go back to it next week. And we got to make sure we have a representation of all of the 1810s. So I'm going to be trying Lubuntu. Wendy, you're trying Lubuntu, right?
She says yes.
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 Got her just taking a drink.
Thomas, what were you trying?
Kubuntu.
Kubuntu. Dan, what are you trying?
Lubuntu.
Oh, 3 Lubuntus. Okay, Dave, what are you trying?
I could try something else too. That's not a big deal.
I'll throw Ubuntu Budgie into a virtual machine. But I'm going to keep Lubuntu on the old laptop I have.
Joe, what are you trying?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay. Silent, you said you Budgie, right?
I'll do Budgie and Kubuntu, I think.
Okay.
Well, if nobody else will do it, I'll do Deepin then.
Oh my god.
Sister, what are you trying?
Ubuntu 32 and 64.
Nice.
32 and 64. Shambles, are you going to try any of them?
I was hoping I'd find a Pop! OS beta for 1810, but I am out of luck, so probably Ubuntu Mate.
That's good. That's good. Ubuntu Mate. That's one we didn't get yet. Climby, what are you going to try?
I'm going to do Budgie on my main machine. I'll do Kubuntu on this AMD laptop, and I'll do Lubuntu on this tablet.
Whoa. Yeah, and Gideon, Gideon, you're not here. Gideon, what are you going to try?
Do what?
Are you going to try any of the 1810s this week?
Ubuntu Studio.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. Ubuntu Studio, yeah.
Crazy, man.
I get a bad memory, sorry. Ricky, are you going to try any of them this week?
I'm trying Ubuntu 18.10 on my laptop. I'm currently running Ubuntu 18.04 on my main system with GNOME Flashback.
And Ali?
Yeah, I'll be using Ubuntu.
All right. So we got Ubuntu, Kubuntu, Ubuntu Budgie, Ubuntu, Ubuntu Mate, and Ubuntu Studio. Is that all of them? Help me out.
I told you I tried the Deepin.
That sounds about right.
Try the XFC.
Checking.
Ubuntu.
No Kylan.
Rocco, I'll probably look at Ubuntu too then.
Okay. All right. So we got that covered. All right. So did anybody see there's this new, I have a YubiKey. Okay. And it works great. But they're launching a 5 series that is actually going to be able to, what they call having a passwordless password login. So it'll be able to do 2-factor authentication and multi-factor authentication on this one YubiKey. Is that something you guys would try? Or is that something that you like? Okay, so some people only use 2-factor authentication to log in to places. Is that something that, like I said, is that something you guys would be interested in trying, or is it too much too soon?
I think it's too. I think it's a little too soon, to be honest.
I'd be
Feels
willing
a little
to try
like,
it. I actually can't wait. There's a security guy out there, Steve Gibson,
Mhm.
who is writing a new system called Squirrel to kind of replace LastPass, which is what I use now. But yeah, I'd be willing to try one. It's just a matter of getting the funds together since I got to buy a new computer anyway.
Yeah.
Trying to afford one of those next gen YubiKeys. When are they coming out?
The article says, I can't find out when, but it's going to be $45 starting. So
That's
it's
not
not
too
going to be.
bad.
It's
That's
not going to
not-
be like
they
real
are
bad.
now.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what they are. I got mine for, I think $12, because I subscribed to Wired Magazine or something like that. So if you subscribe to Wired Magazine for $12, you got a YubiKey with it. So that actually worked out for me. But yeah, $45 for that might not be a bad thing.
Not at all.
No, I would try it.
But I don't see
I would
a
too.
date on it of when it's coming out, unless it's already out. But like I said, this is something that, like, okay, so two-factor authentication is awesome because, it secures your logins, it secures your accounts, but sometimes it's a real pain.
Right.
So,
Is this the item you said? This is the one using FID02 or FID2 or whatever it's called.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's limited only to Windows.
Really?
Yeah, I think it depends. I think it depends on because I know it's biometric, and I think it depends on something very specific to Windows.
I just put a link in
it's
the Zoom
the
chat.
one.
And if you look at that site, you go all the way down, it shows a whole realm, and Linux is one of them.
Yeah, I didn't think that it counted on. I didn't think the YubiKeys at all counted on, like, the operating system itself.
Usually don't.
But maybe, maybe this is different. I mean, maybe system. Maybe you're right.
Because it makes unlock. The laptop that I carry with me in my truck when I'm driving, I always keep it encrypted, and it makes it a whole lot easier to just pop in that key to start my system rather than having to type in that 50-digit encryption key that I use.
Yeah, this one on this site, it talks about the exactly what you're speaking of, the two-factor.
Here, I'm going to post the link in YouTube chat of what I'm reading. I didn't see your link yet, Joe.
It's
but
it's in the Zoom chat.
It says it works on Windows, Mac, Linux, and Chrome OS, Android, and major web browsers. So, yeah, that's
same link.
Oh, Yubico. Yeah, there you go. Okay, it's Yubico. Yeah, I didn't. That's the press release part. I just went to the main site. Yeah. And if you scroll all the way down, it shows everything. It's got Google, Facebook, Windows, Mac OS, Salesforce, Dropbox. I mean, the list goes on right up through Linux and the LastPass, Bitbucket.
And this is available now to buy. Just saying. Throwing it out there.
Yeah, but the passwordless version, the one that's biometric,
Series 5,
that one's only Windows. The other versions, there's like, the NFC, the Nano, those are all, they use multi-protocol, but they all support Linux. The passwordless one does not. It's Windows only. Windows 10. It actually requires it. If you go under products, and you actually, where is it actually? It's not products, it's solutions. And you go to the solutions portion, it actually brings up the passwordless one. And if you scroll, it's a partnership with Microsoft. And then you go through it.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
and then you go into the stuff and you
start looking into that is such a downer, dude.
Yeah. See, I went through the stuff.
Oh my gosh, that is a downer.
So promising until that, though.
I know, right? Well, this is how you learn stuff, right?
Yep.
Well, that won't
Absolutely.
Yep.
No, definitely not. Definitely going to pass on that one. All right, next topic.
I started reading through.
You're such a downer, dude.
When I started reading through the stuff, I was like, "Hey, that That sounds like that's requiring something that's Windows related. Let me go look more. Oh yeah.
I don't know that Windows is required. I know that Windows Azure is integrating with them specifically, but I don't know that the YubiKey is limited to just that. It's just I know that Windows has been gearing their Azure software to function better with the YubiKey.
Now, okay, so if you go onto the YubiKey site and you go to the YubiKey 5, the features section of it says it works on Linux. Maybe that specific portion of the key, like maybe the passwordless part, doesn't work on Linux. I don't know, or needs Windows. But I mean, under the features tab of the YubiKey 5, which is the one with the passwordless thing, says it works on Linux. Just saying.
I'm looking at the website right now, and it's just the Go passwordless one that said in partnership with Microsoft.
Right.
Just
and it doesn't say limited only to Microsoft. It's just pushing.
Not that I can see.
No, it's pushing that Microsoft Azure is integrated with it very closely, so that it will help your employees who are running that system to not be subject to phishing scams anymore.
Just wondering, does that key have an NFC enabled constantly? That would be a concern.
So what kind of biometric is it using?
It is
hopefully fingerprint.
That's what I was thinking, because if it has a fingerprint scanner, it's like the certain fingerprint scanners on certain laptops, there's no Linux drivers for it. So that's why it isn't supported.
I thought they were supported.
I mean?
No, but they are supported because I use mine on, not to log into Linux itself, but I can use the YubiKey on Linux.
Now, is there a way that you can take like your fingerprint on a laptop with a fingerprint scanner and set it up so you can use that to log in? Because that would be super useful.
Would be super useful, but I think that's what Ali is talking about as far as the Linux drivers.
Yeah, there's a couple of different manufacturers that use different drivers for fingerprint scanners on. So my Dell laptop has one. Works perfectly fine on the Windows and that, but it will not run on the Linux because there is no Linux driver for it. Although Linux does have biometrics, it is in the kernel, but not for the actual scanner I've got. But it does work on other Dell machines and so on. There's a couple of distros out there that allow biometric logins instead of typing your username and password.
Yeah, I have a 17-inch. It's like a workstation or whatever from Dell. It's a Precision. It has biometrics on it, and it was one of the ones that was designed for Linux. The biometrics actually works out of it, but it's different. It doesn't look the same as the normal ones because you actually slide your finger on it and it has like a sensor to it, but it's detected. Okay. It's actually detected. I have to install. So Ubuntu has an actual supported PPA or whatever for them for the different series of supported hardware that is Dell specific hardware, if that makes any sense. So there's some wireless cards that are Dell specific. Well, they have a PPA for that. Well, this is one of those components that they actually have, and then you just install the biometric software that you can.
I'd like to look for that, actually.
Okay. So that sounds like one of the areas that needs to be worked on more.
And anything that's in partnership with Microsoft means it's probably locked up to some extent, that they want to have the hold on it. That's the way I take it, because in looking at this thing, you know, they talk about, there's a video at the bottom that says Microsoft and Azure, which is basically their open end of whatever they're doing here. And but to me, anytime I see partnership with anything, it means it's exclusive, is usually how I take it. I hope I'd like to be wrong, but I don't think, I have a feeling that they got it locked up for now.
They normally do a deal for a year or something, don't they?
All right, well, somebody's going to have to buy one of these and try it out. See if it works on Linux.
What about like the Vibram key?
Okay, how many are in the room? Everybody kick in a couple of bucks or whatever. I can go buy one.
Why don't we volunteer Chicken since he's
That's it. Where's he at?
Yeah,
he's the one
That's his punishment for the night.
Anyway, guys, it's getting late. I need to get to bed. Okay.
All right. See you later.
Good night.
Well, mate.
Isn't Chicken the one that just sat there in the middle of a show and ordered a video card?
Yep. Yes. Phones. Yes. He's ordered laptops. Yes.
Yeah.
I say we volunteer him to buy one.
I definitely think he should be the one to get one and let us know how it works, because I think this would be awesome, to be honest with you.
Rocco, go buy one.
What'd be really cool is so apparently if you get a Pixel book and you have a Google Pixel, you can use a fingerprint scanner on your Google Pixel to sign into your Pixel book. What'd be cool is that they can do something like that on most other Linux distributions. And let's be honest, Chrome OS sucks. It really does. It's secure, but that's about it. That's about all it's got going for it. But if you can take that and implement it in the other Linux distributions, where if you have a phone with the fingerprint scanner, but you don't have a device with one, like a laptop with a fingerprint scanner, you can just do that and make it more secure. It's like right there, 2-factor.
Yes. Google Chrome is very secure. They will keep everybody else from getting your information. They will keep it all to themselves.
There's only one downside. You buy that thing and it only works with Microsoft. Now it becomes a hood ornament.
Okay, this is Linux. You know for a fact if they come out only working with Microsoft within a year, the geeks running Linux are going to have it working on Linux.
Oh yeah.
And maybe you won't even have, the worst case scenario, you won't have all functionality, but it'll still function. So you're not totally out.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome. Oh my gosh.
Joe made you the guinea pig, that's for sure.
What?
Careful what you wish for, right?
Right? Well, we'll have to get that and check it out.
12-volt driver.
That's cool.
And Allie, you'll have to work on trying to find a driver, or sister, maybe you can find a driver to work to log into the system itself.
Yeah, I'd like to do that actually. I'd like to do that. I was just looking on Dell's website actually, but it doesn't tell me the exact. It says it's an AMI Smart, but it's listed under Dell Control Vault driver. But that's for Windows, obviously. It's Windows 7 through 10. So I'm gonna have to see if I can find what it is. I should be able to actually. Hang on. Why don't I do so much like LSPCI or something?
Right. So you'll actually have to look at the actual hardware ID and find out what
this is what I'm looking for right now. Okay, it is a Broadcom BCM 5880 apparently. With fingerprint swipe sensor. That's what the ID is on LSUSB, which is ID 0A5C 5801. So I'm gonna see if I can hunt that down.
Cool.
And maybe next week, I expect that to be done by next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It'll be ready when it's ready, okay?
No. This is not how it works around here.
Sure.
We hold Simon's feet to the fire with Pulse Audio every week, so I expect it to be done like now, yesterday.
Right, yesterday. Okay, that's cool. I'm getting right into that, so I'm just going to have a look.
As Wendy starts cringing because she knows Rocco's going to start making her
Hey.
fix those pixels.
Look, I'm just saying there may be a few emails coming your way about pixels being off. Just saying. Because the last time I tried Ubuntu, it had a few pixels off. It did.
Hey,
so
job title, Wendy Hill, Pixel Fixer.
There's a lot of
We've been
pixels.
working on it. We've been working on it.
She has. I've witnessed it.
All right.
That's right.
So, what is the last? There should be a number that has 4 digits and then a colon and then another 4 digits. What is the last 4 digits of the device?
Well, on mine.
Yeah.
The last 4 digits are 5801. And I'm just looking in. Funny enough, I've just hit the Ubuntu, ASCII Ubuntu.com, and it says it's not supported below is a link to the book on Launchpad, and that was in April 3rd, 17, which was over a year ago. I'll have a look in there, see what it is.
Yeah, 5081 is still on. They're still in the process of because it uses UPEK.
Yeah.
Well, that's the brand that manufactured it. It's not actually Broadcom. Broadcom lists it, but that's the product set. But
Oh, right, okay, fair enough.
and so because of that, it has a conflict with GNOME integration. Like it has an issue with GDM. So
right,
it is
okay.
still it's still held as a sort of works. If you go and look under Launchpad and you look for fingerprint, literally you go there. That it's the Launchpad / the little tilde or whatever the little thingy is, the little swiggly line.
Tilde.
Yeah, tilde. Fingerprint, and that should actually bring you to a page that's like the fingerprint readers integration team. That's Ubuntu's integration team, and it'll have all of the listed stuff that they have active. And there's 2 different versions, and they have the bleeding edge version, which will have some of, if not all, the Dell ones, and then the standard fingerprint will have pretty much all the common readers. And you just look for your ID, and if you can find your ID under the list, then it's supported. If it's not under the list, you'll have to go over to the other thing. And actually, what's really nice is they have deb packages for some readers that are not fully supported, and you can install the deb package, and it'll actually add support.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see.
So
okay, that sounds cool. That sounds like a plan.
I just posted a link for the Purism, the Librem key.
Yeah.
That's the one that Gideon was talking about. That's basically another key, but it's...
I think they're coming out with a new version too, but I don't know when that's coming. Yeah, they came out with that one, and they talked about having the same feature set, I think, with the automatic logging in. I'm not sure when that's coming, though.
Let's see. Introducing the Librem key. It doesn't say when the new one's coming out.
Sorry, I keep getting us sidetracked.
It's okay. It's quite all right. I was getting sidetracked too. My bad.
Yeah.
Your show. You're allowed to.
Well, I mean, I wasn't really trying to get sidetracked, but it happens. All right. Last chance to get in a topic before we close. Anybody want to talk about anything?
We don't want to talk about COC, right?
Well, we did talk about that a little bit last week, dude.
Oh, okay.
What do you want to talk about it with? It's a big topic for like 5 minutes, but...
Yeah, I know. That's what I say. I don't know if we want to go there or not. But I guess I was just... Because I know Toss talked about it a little bit last night, and it's like, holy cow, when you see how riled up everybody gets over it. It's like, to me, it's... My thoughts were... A lot of times you look at interpretation, you look at the people behind it, who's writing it, whatever... it's almost a shame that it's like when you were, I use the analogy, it's like when you were a little kid, you used to behave, kind of behave yourself. I mean, we're grown adults, people should know how to behave, but to try to change, I mean, obviously Linus saw something in himself after all this time that he felt he needed to step back, which I guess I kind of commend him for that. But, people are never going to be able to change 100%, but something in that environment seems to me, I don't want to use the word a little miss, but it just seems like there's a reason that this is happening. But why? I think the more it's getting fed into, and just like this, I brought it up, but the more you talk about it, I mentioned this last night too, the more you talk about it, the more it gets driven and the more it gets bigger. And I guess I'm just not sure that it's something that everybody should get so much in a twist over, myself. Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, you would expect people. I mean, how many times we say on here, it's family friendly? You would hope people would know that,
Right.
And then people, when you announce it a couple times, somebody gets used to the show. There's a slip of the tongue, and you kind of say, "Hey, roll a reminder," and you go, "Oh, sorry," and that's it. It's over with, But sometimes you just got to accept people for who they are. And I think after a while, after all these years, I think the way I look at Linus, I mean, we've all kind of accepted him for who he is. You know, he's got a brilliant mind, doesn't necessarily justify some of the behavior, but I think it's after a while it kind of just rolls off because that's his personality. But obviously somewhere along the line, like I said, he saw something in himself that it was time to back away or whatever and kind of work on himself a little bit. But I still think there's something else going in. I don't know how you feel about this, but I think there's something going in that environment going on there that we still don't know about too, besides this. Because why would people get so much in a twist over this? I just don't get it.
You mean so much in a twist right now? Because it's been going on for
right. I
how
mean,
long?
Right now, the way it's like it's exploding, and then you hear the developers are talking about, you know, pulling the kernel. And all. It's, you know, I mean, it's. I don't get where all that's coming from over this. You know?
Well, a lot of the people complaining and threatening to pull the kernel are the ones saying that it's not that the COC in itself is a bad idea, but they're making the claim that it was they chose one written by someone they consider a social justice warrior.
Yeah,
and so they think it's more the wording and which code was chosen than the fact that they actually chose one.
Yeah, I mean the code of conduct that they chose, that they put out, is nothing like what that person that wrote that article, the original article, had wanted it to be. Let's put it that way. It's doesn't have the language in it to make it the same. So I don't think anybody opposes a code of conduct. I think they oppose the idea behind changing the code of conduct. And the idea of changing the code of conduct was that it's not about merit. And the idea is, and you mentioned Linus, and you know that kind of a guy. He's a brilliant guy. He is, and like I said last week, I think we need a guy like him to keep the code in order. Now, I'm not saying, and I'm not excusing his behavior.
Right.
I mean, he even said that, I think in the latest article, he mentioned that he's coming back. He's not going to be cuddly, but he can be nicer, something to that effect. Okay. And and that's basically what I'm saying. I'm not excusing what he did or said in the past, but you need a guy that's going to keep people in line and make it about the code rather than feelings and how people feel, because at the end of the day, it's not just Linux, the kernel is not, we're not just relying on it for desktop use. It's all over the world on servers. And I mean, it's like, this would be.
That's the point I made last week. I mean, more specifically is that it's, when it comes to, especially, well, I mean, the thing is that I've been reading and following the mailing list for a very, very long time because I actually do patches and stuff. But more specifically, when it comes to, this has been about 18 months in the whole thing is it's been about 18 months. They were debating back and forth whether they should institute a top-down policy of, because there have been incidences where there were issues, and it's not even just Linus specifically. There were other individuals higher up in development that have caused issues. And that's why there was this long discussion, because there has been conversations that have happened in the mailing list that shouldn't have been in the mailing list. There's been conversations inside the kernel, things in relation, and there has been prejudice inside because individuals were not participating in the way that other individuals agreed with. And so they wanted to cover that. But in choice of who they picked or what they picked, or more specifically, the conduct in itself, I mean, I personally have no issue with what the current verbiage is in the code of conduct. And it's good because they did modify it. They did change it from what originally was adopted from. But they needed to have a basis. They needed to have a ground, to put it so that they could actually come up with a way to actually describe, we need to be able to do this and that. And whether it's merit-based or not merit-based, it's better to have something that you can point out and say, this is the correct way that you should interact, and not just say, well,
I don't know. I agree with Michael in the fact that it's still too vague, that there's still too many very large gray areas. And I think they could have not completely gotten rid of, but lessened some of the fear around this if it was more detailed in how things were handled when there's a problem.
And that's maybe where this is coming from, Wendy, is a lot of, a lot of us don't always, we didn't, maybe we're not getting all the facts for one thing. The other thing, the way I equate this to, and I'm gonna say, forgive the phrase, it's not vulgar by any means, but I've been a part of things, even from, doing state law, changing statutes when I was in the Builders Association, things like that. And what it came down to, long and short of it was time for the good old boy mentality to be pushed aside, and some new thoughts, some fresh ideas, some different things. And it doesn't come without, ruffling some feathers and then some. But again, I guess what bothers me is this explosive nature of what just happened. It's like, okay, why is it exploding? So if this has been going on for a long time and we're just kind of seeing it now where it's just like hitting a head, that says something too. I mean, somewhere along the line, if this is supposed to be an open community, why does this seem like it's all of a sudden it's gotten so toxic? And it's just, and I'm sure it isn't all of a sudden, but I'm talking about from us seeing it. And the other thing I mentioned is like what you just said too, was talking about, or was it Rocco, about the desktop side of it. If people forget where the kernel really is. I mean, the kernel is in, it's in more than anything we ever know. I mean, people are looking at this from a desktop standpoint. They're not looking at their cars or smart TVs, their smart, their refrigerator,
light bulbs,
God knows whatever else it runs,
Mac machines and everything else.
Exactly. So to sit there and say it's going to die tomorrow because of this, I don't know. To me, I think that's one of the biggest faults in the Linux community comes. It's a vulnerability, is that people, it always seems like it's in a turmoil over something. If it isn't one thing, it's something else. I mean, look at even with the forking of a distro or getting rid of Ubuntu, Unity. Everybody was just in a twist, and now all of a sudden everybody hates GNOME, and now they wish they had Unity back. And it's always this extreme thing, and then it eventually calms down. But this, to me, where I took offense or I didn't like it was when I saw the articles being written by the developers. We're going to pull the kernel, and it's more or less hold it hostage. And you see all this stuff popping up. It's like, why do this? Why?
Well, I don't think some of that necessarily is all the developers. I think some of that is clickbait. How much
it's true too.
revenue can we generate from clickbait? And that seems to be just a problem of the time. So Linux community isn't the only community that has big explosive clickbaity things. Right now it is everywhere. That's just front and center to this community right now.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also part of the society in general too, because like the comments they were making about Zuckerberg and Facebook, the personality and attitude that drove the creation of this huge institution isn't the same one that can function properly to maintain it. Some changes have to be made when the hard driving focus is no longer what is needed. Now you need the inclusion and the maintenance as much, if not more, than the driving forward.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with that too, because I mean, and the thing is, I think when you become passionate about something, and that's something, to me, I think this means so much to me since I started really using it, 100%, a couple of years ago, whatever. I mean, I've used it for years on and off, but I mean, really the last couple of years is when it became my daily driver. And I think part of it is because I'm sick and tired of feeling like I've got my arm twisted behind my back from the big corporations and the lack of choices and everything else. And I think and I'm not gonna kid you. I think to some extent, there's a little bit of fear to see that hopefully this doesn't go in the wrong direction after all the gains it's made. So.
Well, I mean, Linux has had what I call cycles when it comes to okay. First, to cover the thing, it's only one developer that actually said something, and their code can be reinitialized because it's open source and it's GPL. Even if they pulled their code, the code would still go back in, and the patches would be redone. And that was completely blown out. And a discussion was had. That person was confronted. Those issues were resolved, and that was within about 48 hours of that issue. As for the articles and all that kind of stuff, is a whole other thing. But there has been Yes, it's open. Yes, you can read all of the documentation. You can read all the mailing list. You can read all of the things, and it's already open. And it's an open community, and everything is discussed. There's still that situation where some individuals are bullheaded, and they do things that are very contrary to where they should be. And there are things that need to be set in stone and resolved. And I agree with Wendy. It is very, very broad, and that's an issue. But at the same time, if it was too specific, then it would give people kind of a line that they can say, well, I can get really close to this, and I can get really close and not cross the line because it's very specific. But if it's broad, then people have to think about more clearly what they're doing and if it can be construed or seen, or they have to be more accountable because it's so broad.
There's too narrow, and then there's too broad. And
Right.
so I think we're still in the scope of we're still way too broad. We need to maybe not tighten it up this tight, but, rein it in a little bit and have a little bit more structure as to.
But there's still options for refinement, just like Linux has.
Right, yes.
The code of conduct has the ability to be refined. It's so broad that it has the ability to be refined down, just like we do with the Linux kernel. If there's something that's broken, it can be fixed, it can be patched, it can be adjusted, it can be changed. And the same thing could go with the code of conduct. They made it broad. They made it wide enough to where if they need to refine it, they need to adjust it, they need to move it in, they can vote on it. And again, it has to be approved by more than just one person. Not one person makes that decision. It has to be signed off by a stack of people. It's done through a committee.
Look at it this way. What's the absolute worst that could happen? Somebody forks the kernel, they make a better kernel, and all their improvements are just going to get sucked back into the main kernel anyway.
Yeah,
because it's all open.
It's GPL.
It's a win-win situation whether they take their kernel and run away and start developing somewhere elsewhere, because it's just going to get pulled back in and improve the main kernel anyway.
Because they can't make it separate, or they break the own license. They literally break the license if they do that, which would defeat the entire purpose, and that would be a whole other can of worms.
And truthfully, even though no matter what time I've got under my belt, I still consider myself a noob to this at some level, even though I've got some season under there, and I'm learning. I'm just trying to understand things, and you guys, are obviously a lot more versed in a lot of ways when I listen to some of the conversations going on here than I'll ever be. And maybe eventually, I'm not a young guy by any means, but I'm not old either. But the thing is I feel like this has been, I feel like, when you're a kid, you got something that really excited you. That's how I feel about this. And I just don't want to see anything go in the wrong direction. And like you said, I guess I never really honestly, Wendy, I never thought about it as clickbait. And that's probably me being a little naive and ignorant.
Well, and there's just, there's so much of it, a ridiculous amount. And so we just have to stop sometimes and think, now, what is the goal behind, this title? What does it want?
We have a term for that. We don't want to say it, but we have a term for that.
Yeah. Well, and it's a relief to hear, when you hear you guys talk. But as far as I know, there was discussion about, like what you mentioned about forking the kernel, go somewhere else. But the realistic part of that is that'll probably never happen, because you're going to start something like that over. That's been years in the making. So, but. Plus, you know what the funny thing is our government should work as well as that. Then with the open source, like if one person thinks they got all that control, the other, no. Realistically, we'd have a much better government if it all worked that way.
Yeah, but pretty much anybody that would pull their stuff from the kernel would be shooting themselves in the foot anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's all open source, and if you're going to pull your stuff from the kernel, that means you're just doing it out of spite, which means that you're not going to. That's not what the open source community is all about.
Which it belongs to GPL anyway, so they can't really. You have to.
And it goes into the discussion that other people are like freaking out because they think like Microsoft or somebody else is trying to like overrun the kernel and take over. It's like, really, like, it's open source. That's the intent. Like a company like Microsoft is not going to be. Microsoft has been working and contributing to Linux for 18 years. They have spent like
They're
they, yeah, like they. I mean, Azure, 50% of Azure right now
is based on the
Linux.
kernel.
Well, no, 50% of the machines on Azure, like 50% of everything that exists on Azure is Linux, like,
yeah,
and that's what most people don't realize. I mean, it's just I mean, the Amazon depends on Linux, Microsoft depends on Linux, whether they want to admit it or not. I mean,
Google in a small way.
The top 500 supercomputers in the world are all to a single machine running Linux.
And if they aren't running Linux, they're running some form of BSD.
90% of all websites
I think they're all Unix systems in some form.
Now they're all Linux now.
My understanding is the battleships that protect this country too are running it. You know, I mean that's pretty serious stuff too.
All right. Well, it is 12:40, and
thanks for indulging me.
And that'll be it for this round. But everybody gets the last word. So, Wendy, last word.
I have no idea. I didn't even have time to think about it.
Okay, we'll come back to you.
All right.
Thomas?
DroggerOS.ml. Check out my OS. Do it.
Yeah. I love that tweet,
Yeah.
by the way. Dan, last word.
My name is Dan. I'm a distro hopper.
Hi,
You're
Dan.
allowed to do you're allowed
That's
to do
good,
that now
that's
this
good.
week.
I don't know if I can do that again.
Dave, last word.
Like that smash button, and a final congratulations to Wendy Hill, the Pixel Fixer.
Yes. Joe,
Great,
last
that's
word.
the new nickname.
Hi, I'm Joe. I'm a former distro hopper.
There's
yeah,
hope for me, I guess.
welcome back to Tim F. Glad he's on the mend and that he's doing good. And God bless the guy. And you know, hopefully Zeb is not catching a cold like somebody alluded to too. Hopefully he's well.
Yep. Silent, last word.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure. And I too am a distro hopper.
Hi, Silent. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, Silent. I know it's late for you. System, last word.
I don't always like butter with my kernel.
Right? But
That's
you
'cause
do
you
like
don't
it with
pop-
Reaper jerky.
Yeah, no, I don't know. No. No.
You need to pop your kernel.
I do. I run
These are
Pop
all-
OS.
These are all too corny, okay?
Yeah. Where's Michael when you need a bad dad joke?
I
Shambles.
am a walking bad dog joke.
Yeah.
I'm a meme engine.
Good night, everyone, and I'll see you guys around.
Yeah, it was good having you, man.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Climby, last word. You're muted. Climby, hold on.
Sorry about that.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it's been fun like it always has. I'm really looking forward to trying the 18.10s and especially Budgie because I've never actually tried the desktop environment before. So that'll be fun. And I'm also a distro hopper.
Hi, Climby. Ali, last word.
Yeah, I'm a non-distro hopper as well. I don't hop anywhere. But I will be sacrificing one of my machines to Ubuntu 18.10. Yeah, it's been a great evening again. Been a pleasure being with you all.
Yep, it was good having you, man.
Yes.
All right,
Thank
back
you,
to you,
Michael.
Wendy.
I'm not a developer. There we go.
Okay, you're not a developer.
Pixel
You're just on the dev team.
Pixel dev.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't develop anything. I just, look at things.
You develop
You develop
art.
You're the
pixels.
fixer.
Yeah.
Beautiful art. Yes.
To raise bad pixels.
All right, so that'll be it for us.
Thank
Check
you,
out
Rocco.
Way to be, Dave. Telegram group, t.me/Big Daddy Links live. And you can join us in the Telegram group. It was nice seeing Tim in the YouTube chat, even if it was for a little bit, because we didn't hear anything about him for the last, it's been a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
is it not?
It's been also
3+ weeks, yeah.
Yeah, so it was good seeing him in the chat. Other than that, everybody have a good week. And we'll see you next week.
Keep your Linux buttery.
Night.
Linux battery smooth.